All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Give me a touchdown on the top prop bets for this Monday night showdown between the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so, as always, I like to start with a game preview, and this game is going to be one that is projected to be pretty low scoring at 40 total points. Also, kind of surprised at the game line that we're getting here. The Jets are 1-point dogs in this game against the Buffalo Bills. Now, that's going to be because the Bills have not been really as sharp as you would want them to be, and also they could be without James Cook and Khalil Shakir. Those are really the two pieces of injury news that we are worried about in this game. Now, unlike last night, where I had a decent amount of conviction that that game total would not be able to get the over and that the Bengals would win by around 7 points, I don't really have that for this game specifically. The Jets are obviously coming in off of a London game, a game that personally I expected them not to play well because Aaron Rodgers just doesn't travel well. Now, that did lead to their head coach getting fired, which I think will lead to a little bit of motivation for this team. Now, I do want to take a peek at some of the snap counts here. So, James Cook has been getting about the same amount of snaps as we would expect. The one surprising thing is that Ty Johnson has been getting a decent amount of work. Now, I do think that Ray Davis is a better runner than Ty Johnson between the tackles. So, if James Cook were to be out, I actually think Ray Davis would be the one that kind of benefits the most in terms of playing time. Ty Johnson would probably see an uptick in work as well. He'd be more of the passing down back as well. But I think it'd be much closer to a 50-50 split there rather than the 60 kind of 30 split that he's currently seeing right now. So we do know that Khalil Shakir has been out, which I would have thought maybe would lead to a little bit more Dalton Kincaid snaps and also Dawson Knox snaps, just seeing a little bit more two tight end sets, some 12 personnel, but maybe just Dalton Kincaid splitting out. No, that has not been the case. The snap counts have basically stayed the same. We actually just saw MVS get a little bit of work. Curtis Samuel starting to get a little bit more work as well. So the one thing I want to call out is that Khalil Shakir, in a weird way, does make this offense go. There's a lot of quick hitters that he gets that kind of sets up this offense a decent amount. And so if he's going to be out again, that does worry me a little bit because they haven't really been able to replace his production. That's not the type of receiver Matt Collins is. That's not the type of receiver Keon Coleman is. And quite frankly, Curtis Samuel just doesn't have that in his bag really these days. And so I kind of get that. And I think that's why we have seen Josh Allen maybe struggle a little bit. We take a peek at the Jet snap counts. Mike Williams, one of the more tilting things from last week. I needed Mike Williams to get one more reception, and it would have been a massive week. Kind of the same thing that happened this week, where if Tucker Kraft, who was in an ideal setup this week, where Jaden Reed got injured, Wicks got injured, Luke Musgrave on the IR, he should have had a massive game. If he gets his over fantasy score, it's a very, very good game or a very good week. Also, Keenan Allen got a freaking reception on 4th down when the Bears had no business going for 4th down. The game was clearly in hand. Just some tilting stuff on Sunday night, guys. Sunday night. Darius Slayton gets a reception late in the game that gets his over fantasy score, which I wouldn't have been tilted by that much, but then they kicked the field goal right after that. But also, Chase Brown scores a touchdown when he probably should have just not scored, and then the game's out of reach anyways. That didn't really matter. It's a 2-score game there, but that was tilting, and Zach Moss fumbled, so he didn't get any care. Tilting with some of the slips, and I'm still haunted by the Mike Williams one because that would have been a lot. That would have been huge. There's a slip I showed you guys on Underdog last week that I gave you guys about 2K if he makes another catch. But he had 4 targets, played a lot. That was the thing. We knew he was going to play a lot. So if we can bank on Mike Williams playing 70% of the snaps, that's huge. We did see Allen Lazard continue to play a lot of snaps. He has so many drops. Now, a lot of the drops are in kind of some difficult passing situations, but you need to make more of those, I would say. There's a touchdown in that game that he dropped. A lot of people are going to blame Aaron Rodgers for that loss last week. I don't think that's really warranted. Yes, he made some bad mistakes, but that was after players on the offense had made mistakes that shouldn't have been made. You know, it's just a mistake on top of a mistake, which I tend to blame the first player, the first offender there. Garrett Wilson going to play a lot of snaps. Obviously, he had a ton of targets, like 21 targets last week. Tyler Conklin had a good week last week, as expected. Only played 82% of the snaps. A little bit surprising there. And looking at the running back split, a lot of people are going to be interested in what's going on with the running back split. Breece Hall, I think we're going to see have a big game today against the Buffalo Bills. That's kind of the point in contention that I see happening in this game. Maybe gets a little bit more work in the receiving game as well. Aaron Rodgers does seem to like Braylon Allen. That workload is not going away. Braylon Allen has looked great as expected. If you guys follow my Twitter, you saw me tweet about how Braylon Allen was one of the better late round best ball draft picks because I thought he had some season long standalone value. Now, granted, that was before people even knew he was going to be the RB number 2 in this offense. So he's talented, and you don't really see a drop off in the talent when it goes from Breece Hall to Braylon Allen. That's part of it. And Braylon Allen is more of the hard nosed runner. So we're probably not going to chase any time touchdowns with Breece Hall. But let's go ahead and get into it, guys. We're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. And what we're going to see is we are getting some pretty good edges right off the board. So James Cook for under 14.5 rush attempts. We know that's a little bit a part of the game script, but he is a little bit banged up as well. So there is a chance that maybe he just doesn't play as much as he has been. Maybe it's only 50% of the snaps. And we look at it, the game against Houston, 20. Okay, that game was close. And then some of these games where they've been blowouts, whether they're getting blown out or not getting blown out, or the opposite way, blowing out a team, he hasn't gotten the over. So he's gotten the over twice out of 5 games. Now, the 2 games that were close, he easily got the over. And so if you think this game is going to be close, then you probably don't want to make this bet. Although this is the best bet on the board, we have seen Underdog already bump this one down because it's a good bet. So it probably will get bet at a bump down as well. Dalton Kincaid for over 3.5 receptions is another one I don't mind. Kincaid, especially if Khalil Shakir is out, he should get some of those manufactured touches. Now, the issue that we're going to have with Dalton Kincaid is that this is an extremely difficult matchup for him. Second most difficult matchup for opposing tight ends. We see the game log here, 6 targets last week, 7 targets the previous week. He is getting targeted more, but only 2 receptions last week, 5 the week before. So we do worry a little bit about the matchup, but last week's offense really wasn't humming. And so that's another decent bet that we have. You could do James Cook for under his fantasy score, but you would want to do that there on Underdog. That's a slightly better bet there. Will Josh Allen force some throws and throw an INT? That one has a 52% chance to hit. But that's the thing. After that, we're not really getting that many big edges. I will say Keon Coleman continues to look good, guys. We are seeing a decent prop line difference for him here. 2 yards is not that much, but I believe Jamar Chase cashed on both sites yesterday. I'm not entirely positive. I know he was on the bet slip for PrizePicks. Cash force under receiving yards. We saw a decent prop line difference for him between how Underdog valued him and how the sportsbooks valued him. That's kind of what's happening here with Keon Coleman, where it's off by 2 yards. Again, that adds up. You can see with Josh Allen, pass and rush yards, that's off by 3 on Underdog compared to sportsbook line. But Keon Coleman, guys, Keon Coleman, again, if Khalil Shakir is out, I do think Keon Coleman has a good chance to have a decent game. He is playing more snaps. He's looked good in the sense of you can tell he's like ready to break out. You can tell he could easily have a Rashid Shaheed type of season where it seems like it's going to happen. It's just a matter of piecing it together and probably gaining some trust from Josh Allen. 5 targets last week. Obviously not great there. Tough matchup as well. But you take out that game where he didn't play that many snaps, he's been pretty solid this year. Like I think he looks good. And so that's probably more of a sportsbook bet, where I'd rather just bet the over receiving yards, but not a bad bet there. On Underdog, are there any other prop bets that I like? I mean, Josh Allen's fantasy score is off a decent amount. Like this is a great middling opportunity. I do think we want to bet the over on PrizePicks, bet the under on Underdog. That's a good middling opportunity. Shouldn't be off by 1.5. And if we look at the average sportsbook line, that's going to be in the middle there as well. Now, guys, we'll jump into the New York Jets, and lo and behold, the top prop bet that we have is going to be Mike Williams to get under 2.5 receptions. I kind of hate that after last week's bad beat, like I already mentioned, how tilting that was. Now, again, if he is going to be playing that much, I do think there's a good chance that he gets this over, gets 3 receptions. He is a good red zone threat. I'm a little bit surprised that he has been utilized there a little bit more. Maybe that's something that the new play caller tries to do in this game. 4 targets last week. Buffalo has been kind of depleted as well. In their secondary, I could see him having a good game. Do want to just take a peek at the prop bets that we're getting for Tyler Conklin as well. 7 for a fantasy score. I don't know. It kind of seems too low. Like Tyler Conklin has been good. Aaron Rodgers clearly seems to like him. Now he is questionable, but I think we're assuming he's going to be good to go. And obviously in these games where they've been playing from behind, they have been having to throw the football a little bit more, but 9 targets, 8 targets, 6 targets. Like he has stepped up into a bigger role recently, and the offense could change with the play call, and don't get me wrong, but Conklin's been solid. And so I don't mind that over, but that's not going to be a bet that's really popping up on the board that we should be going out of our way to target. We are seeing Braylon Allen for over his fantasy score is 1 on both sides. That's not terrible. 53.4% edge. That's okay. Aaron Rodgers, will he get over his fantasy score? That's not a terrible bet here on PrizePicks. It's off by 0.5 compared to Underdog. The average sportsbook line would have it closer to 16. That's going to be one of the better bets that we have. And we do have Braylon Allen for over 1.5 receptions. I don't know. I think this is going to be a Brees Hall type game. I think he's just going to kind of go off. I think I'd rather chase that. So I'll take a quick peek at Underdog, and then we'll get into the bet of the day. And on Underdog, you'll see we are getting some slightly better edges, like Tyler Bass for over field goals made. That's a great EV bet. And then Alan Lazard for under his fantasy score. That's going to be the bet of the day there for Underdog, guys. Don't need to really spend more time on that. That's going to be it. So a 2-slip bet there for Underdog. And if that gets bumped, the Tyler Bass one, which it probably will, I don't mind the running out the Josh Allen under fantasy score as well. Again, we see that's a little bit of a middling opportunity that we have. All right, guys, so looking at the prize picks bet of the day, going to be going with Tyler Conklin for over his fantasy score. We do see that the data is slightly favoring the over there. I like that one. Dalton Kincaid for over 3.5 receptions. We did say that that's one of the better bets on the board today. Not a 54% edge, but again, these single game slates, we're never going to really have a massive edge against prize picks or Underdog. They're going to be adjusting the lines correctly. Mike Williams for less than 2.5 receptions. I actually think that's probably a better sportsbook bet, really. Maybe I'm a sucker for it, but I think Mike Williams is talented. I think Rodgers will try to get in the football a little bit more. Getting Garrett Wilson as much work as he did last week obviously didn't lead to them getting a W, so maybe there's some slight adjustment there. And then really probably the two best bets is really this middle opportunity that we have between prize picks and Underdog. Aaron Rodgers over 14.5 for a fantasy score, and then Josh Allen for over 18.5 for a fantasy score. Now, I do want to call out that if you run out this specific slip, it's a terrible payout. They're really reducing the payout for no reason, really. That shouldn't be happening. I'm assuming it's because of Conklin and Aaron Rodgers for over their fantasy score. That's terrible. That's part of the annoyance that PrizePicks has been doing. So you're going to have to break this down into really what you find are the, best bets to run out. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. That does help out the channel a lot. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to those tools for just $10 a month. But when you use the promo code Keep Cashing, you'll get 20% off your first month. So get that first month for just $5 a month. Take advantage of that great value out there, priced that way for you guys. But that's gonna be all for today's video. Make sure to leave a thumbs up. Again, if you have never subscribed before, make sure to do that. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Good luck, and as always, let's keep